Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever you are, wherever you are. As you can see by the title of the video, this video I'm going to express my opinion about the deceased Charlie Kirk. Well, first of all, I gave myself the trouble to listen to him, to see how he acted around people, to see how he spoke, to see what if he had any kind of how can I say this? It's not method that I want to see because method is something different. If he had any kind of ideology behind him, except catched words and the general MAGA type of speech, and no, he did not have it. But before I get into that, I'm going to be extremely clear about this. First of all, condolences to his family, to anyone that loved him. I think he had a wife and kids, so condolences to them. Because, however wrong you think a person is, it's not right to kill a person. Okay, at least in my view, I don't support the death penalty, so I will most definitely not support someone being murdered. But given that, to me, the dead are not saints, meaning that when a person dies, that is not a reason for you to not criticize what that person said or how that person acted. Okay? There are some family members of mine that have passed on, and some were bastards, and some were not. And some were just normal people with their virtues and with their sense. Okay? So I never indulge myself in schadenfreude. If you don't know what that is, go use your browser and go look for it. But it basically means to gloat on other people's on other people's misfortune. Okay, I never do that. I think it's very poor taste and illogical. So not my thing. So I won't look. I take no pleasure, no nothing really from the death of the guy. Nothing, at least for me. Insignificant event for me. A major event for him and his family, and a significant event for me and most of the world, or all the world, except the ones that are trying to politicize his death and trying to make him a saint in the altar of martyrdom of their particular form of religion. That's a cult. That's religion, really. Now, there were people that called themselves philosophers in ancient Athens during the time of Socrates that were called the sophists. And they would question everything and use words and use the meaning that are given to words to disassemble notions presented by other people, and they called that philosophy. So it was basically just wordplay and zero contents. And I'm sorry to say that was what Mr. Kirk did. He used words and he used wordplay in a very infantile way if I'm going to be completely honest, to dismount other people's narrative or other people's ideas to create his own narrative. He was, and I don't know if he was really that, but in his words, he was anti-transgender, anti-gay. Apparently he claimed to be very family-oriented. I don't know if he was or not. He had this very ultra zealot neo-Christian fascist way of looking at the world. Okay? I don't know. I know nothing about his character. I don't know if he was a good person or if he was a bad person. I know nothing about that. And frankly, I don't care because I will just be analyzing his words. And this is something a lot of modern politicians do this. Boris Johnson, he liked to do it. Putin, he liked to do it until he had no one to oppose him. But he's still doing it with Trump. Trump also does it. Farage also does it, for example. And a lot of extremists, both in the left and both in the left and in the right, they use this form of holding on to words in order to disassemble ideologies or to make them wrong in their little world. So they are basically discussing nothing. And you can see that very clearly in the way he spoke. And to tell you the truth, Eden, I did not saw him. I think I only saw him debating with a couple of people that saw through his little mask and that completely cleared the floor with him until he simply interrupted the discussion and carried on. And so, this is my opinion of Charlie Kirk. He was a person. I think his ideas were misguided. I don't know why. I don't know if it was a lack of education, if it was some events in his life, if it was his background. I have no idea. I have not made a thorough analysis of his entire life. I don't know who was paying for him to do that. I have absolutely no idea, and I don't care. And this is the nature of life. Okay, tomorrow we die, and the world does not care about us. Me, you, anyone. But to try and make a person that made a point in offending others, I think it's a bit odd, to say the least. To try to turn him into some kind of martyr, to say that a transgender murdered him on this and that, when it was apparently it was now a member of another extremist group inside the MAGA movement that believe him to be not as extremist as they wanted to, or that he was offending Trump or whatever it was. So it was basically an in-house murder. Okay, it doesn't make it right. Like I said from the beginning, I don't condone those types of actions. If you watch my videos carefully, you will see that when I'm criticizing, then when I'm telling you to fight, I always tell you don't use violence because violence does not work. It's simple as this. Okay, unless you are defending yourself from a physical attack from someone, violence does not work because violence only creates more violence. Okay, it's simple. And this type of movements, like the one that originated this gentleman, and the other one, I think that it's the other guy now, Nick Fuentes, that is another guy with the same ideas. They say they are different, but they are basically the same type of sophist people with no ideas, really just agendas, and they are all the same. Okay, Trump, Kirk, Fuentes, Farage. These people are all the same, okay? You just have to, like I tell you, follow the money trail, see who is benefiting from all of this, okay? And It's very clear who is benefiting from this. Okay, Mr. Trump has a nice distraction from his woes, and now he's trying to blackmail Europe again. I don't think that will go very well for him. But he has his mate Putin, uh, sending drones to Poland, sending drones to Romania, and I think it's about time that we stop playing around with these people. Uh, Mr. Putin has to understand that Europe also has nuclear weapons. Mr. Trump has to understand he better fuck off back to his borders, and we need to have some strong uh, actions to end this. And like I said in a comment, and after that, speaking with a Polish acquaintance. Okay, I cannot call the man a friend. I just talk with him on occasion. I don't talk with that person very often, but spoken with him, and it's this: what the attitude we need to have towards Russia is simply this one: borders closed, no communications, no trade, no nothing, just diplomatic relations between politicians. We need to close completely the border because if they don't want to behave like civilized people, then they have to go. And then we have to funnel massive investment into Ukraine, including weapons, including soldiers if it's needed. If you need cannon fodder, I will go too. I have no, I'm too old to be enlisted, but in active duty, but I would go as a volunteer if that meant that a younger person will stay back home. Okay, and this is what we have to do, and we have to convince ourselves, like I said in other videos, that the United States is not our friend. The United States is selling weapons and resources to us and to the Russians. I don't know how much it was, but it was around the number of 3,000 million whatever dollars in trade with Russia, fertilizers and other stuff. Okay, and Europe also has to stop. But I think some oil is still dripping in. You have to cut that. But we are not going to buy the American oil. No, there are other countries producing oil. Portugal and Spain get the majority of their oil and gas from North Africa, from Nigeria, and this is what we have to do. While we are still not able to produce enough energy and fuel in other ways, in green energy. But the only way to deal with them and to deal with people like this gentleman that was deceased, is to simply cut them off of all the access to our wealth, okay, and keep them on check check on them, see if they are not trying anything, and if they try something, immediately react in a way that no reaction from them is possible. And again, no violence. You don't need to be violent to be precise, okay? And we need to cut these people off. Uh, I think the European Union and the UK also should make their laws, uh, especially on the online acts and all of that, even more, even more thorough, even more austere, in order to end once and for all this influence of these nutters. Or, okay, if YouTube, if X, if all of those platforms want to sell their services inside of the EU, then they have to obey our laws. If they don't, well, too bad. I'm sure other companies will do it. And for the United States to come here and tell us who who we are going to have as business partners, that is even funnier. The self-entitlement and the blackmailing. Now, you didn't know. Trump is blackmailing Europe again. He wants us to impose tariffs on India and China. So, he wants us to do the same shit he did in order for him to cover up his shit. And the only thing I have to say to him is F you. No, 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 no. I hope they don't fall for this, because if they do, the heat inside of the EU will be unbelievable. We need to fight these people. And we need to stop this proposal of turning people that were not nice people when they were alive, because of the violent way in which they perish, into martyrs. People, when they die, sometimes they even become bigger monsters than they were when they were alive, because you see the entire consequences of their actions, of their words after they die. So, to anyone that is still milking, this is the last video I'm going to do about this person. Okay, I'm not going to give him any more visibility. I'm only doing this video because a friend asked me to do it, to give my opinion about it. And my opinion is this: uh, no one deserves to die the way he did, but he was not a nice person. And there is an old saying here in South Portugal that I think is it's fully adequate to the way he died. And it is: quem semeia ventos colhe tempestades. He who sows winds shall reap storms. Meaning, your actions determine your future. Your words determine your future. If you go around spreading hate, or if you are an alpha hater and then you start to repent yourself and trying to change your speech or whatever, there will be consequences. Okay, it's one of the most basic laws in the universe. Actions have consequences, and actions are born from consequences. If you understand what I'm trying to say, staying here, all holy, with the tree of the worlds behind me. Oh, but you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay, just a bit of humor. We all need a bit of humor in our lives. So, thank you all for watching this video. I'm going to drop some more right now, since I finally ended that House Committee saying that I will probably never do it again. Okay, I'm just going to drop my video with my conclusions after this one, or maybe before this one. I still don't know. I'm going to see what I'm going to do, and continue with my contents, talking about more sayings, dropping news whenever I think we should talk about them, and just having a nice chat. The guy sitting at you at the table in the cafe. It's a great summer day. Okay, we're all sitting down. We're having a nice espresso, and we're just talking. Okay. Well, thank you all for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Okay, and stay safe, especially if you are in the USA. Okay. I hope you and your family are all right. All right.